Lewis, there's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says sex toys are like hiring a prostitute. At least that might be Ted Cruz's old saying. It's been uncovered that in spite of portraying himself as a constitutional conservative on the campaign trail, Ted Cruz has actually helped to defend some really outrageous examples of government overreach. And Ted Cruz often mentions he used to be the Solicitor General of Texas. That's true, Lewis. That is not a lie. He really was the Solicitor General of Texas.
Yes, occasionally Ted Cruz says something that is true.
In 2007, as the Solicitor General of Texas, Ted Cruz participated in a federal court case to try and maintain a ban on the sale of all sex toys in Texas. Would you call that, Lewis, a necessary function of government? These right-wingers always say the government should do nothing unless it is absolutely necessary. Mm-hmm. Is banning sex toy sales necessary in terms of a function of government?
I'm just thinking you banned a marijuana, heroin, cocaine, any number of these substances, and you couldn't keep those out of you have entire divisions of government dedicated to making sure those don't get into Texas or the country. You can't prevent that. How are you going to stop sex toys from getting into Texas?
Well, you'd have to put in the VEA, the Vibrator Enforcement Agency, in order to stop all the black market sex toys that would be coming in. So the backstory is two sex toy companies sued because they wanted to render moot the Texas ban on the sale of so-called marital aids. Conservative circles call these marital aids. Amazing. And the state's counter arguments were penned by the office of Ted Cruz in part. Their defense was, well, listen, using sex toys is like hiring a willing prostitute or engaging in consensual bigamy. And the state has an interest in discouraging those interests in autonomous sex and the pursuit of sexual gratification unrelated to procreation. That's Christian talk, Lewis, right?
Yeah.
It's Christianity which says all sexual activity needs to be for procreation. This is where the idea of banning contraceptives come from. This is where the idea of how bad masturbation comes from. And fortunately, at some point, common sense was introduced when the U.S. Supreme Court found the government has no interest in limiting people's access to sex toys or monitoring the sexual lives of consenting adults or whatever. But Ted Cruz is the guy who was in there fighting to keep banning sex toys. This guy wants to be president now. And he says he would minimize government only to the necessary.
Yes, it's just, I would like to hear from people in other countries if they've ever heard of a politician bringing up such ridiculous legislation or pushing for such absurd laws. I heard that this picture behind us was the first time Ted Cruz tried a vibrating butt plug, and it was such a horrific experience for him that
he decided to take legal action. Yeah, and the legal underpinnings of Cruz's argument, the argument of Cruz's office, was there's no substantive due process right. This is, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, to stimulate your own genitals for non-medical purposes, and that as a result, masturbation and or sex for pleasure alone is not covered by the right to privacy, and thus the state can regulate any element of that they want to. This is a so-called
what
constitutional
next?
Conservative.
Yeah, what next? I mean, they tell you can't set your cell phone to vibrate while it's in your pocket.
Lewis, that's not medically necessary, and it doesn't lead to procreation.
This is he just pandering? Does he actually believe this stuff?
I'm sure if he was asked about it now, he would say, well, listen, my office is involved in a number of cases, and there were actually valid constitutional underpinnings to it. And he probably would have a hard time thinking of a way to still defend that. But it's still an outrageous incident he was involved in that goes completely counter to what he claims is his constitutional philosophy today, which is government no bigger than absolutely necessary.
And if you include the military and the spying and this type of thing, no matter what you do, government is going to be huge and invasive.
Gamefly is sort of like Netflix for video games. They have over 8,000 new and classic games for Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS4, PS3, Wii, and a bunch of other platforms. And you can play as many games as you want for one monthly fee. And if you find some games you want to keep, You can buy them for a low used price. There's never any due dates or late fees, and our audience can get a free 30-day trial at gameflyoffer.com/TDPS. The games are shipped directly to you with return envelopes included. There's no contracts, and you can rent games through the mobile app. Get the free 30-day trial for the David Pakman Show audience and support our show by going to gameflyoffer.com/TDPS.